I think we're going to talk for a moment about integrity. Some people don't have an ounce of it, maybe not even a gram of it in their bodies. Last weekend, a week ago yesterday, went to a location and bought some transmissions and some other parts and whatnot, and this Chevy, World War II Chevy transfer case. It's good to have spare. I don't have one. I do now, but yeah, you know, when I sell antique parts like this to somebody, I let them know, hey, you might want to take a look inside, look at the gears, make sure that's something that you want to deal with. In this case, that didn't happen. The person was more interested in my $500 so that he could go buy a Jeep tub down in Oregon, and he just was more interested in filling his pocket rather than being honest and having integrity. So, for dramatic purposes, I just put the cover back on the top of the transfer case. Now, I know that this transfer case has been looked at, because when I got this home, I also have to state at this time, it was my fault for not pulling the cover off at the location. So, there's that. So when I got the transfer case home and I started pulling all of the bolts out, there was only one that had an original shake-proof washer on it, and they were hand tight. So let's take a look inside and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now, I know that the person that sold this to me is very particular, because if you were to park his restored Chevrolet G7107 next to an example that just rolled out of the Chevrolet factory, the inspector would have some trouble saying with, I don't know which one is which. But what we're looking at here is the main input shaft. This trunnion that's turning here is coupled to the transmission. This is the front end of the case. This throw rod here engages front wheel drive. We can see that front wheel drive is not engaged with any of the gears because it's in neutral. This shift shaft engages high and low range, with it being close to the body of the cover. It is in high range. And I can see here that the dog gear is engaged with high range. Now, somebody did this some time ago, and thankfully they used an arc welder. I can tell this is stick arc welding. Not only did they glue with the electric arc and steel process the hub gear into the main gear for high range, they also decided to put a dollop of weld at the 12. I'm just going to rotate the input shaft. 3 p.m., or I should say 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock position to keep the hub gear from moving. And what this is an indication of is that behind this bolt there's a spring and a ball bearing. And the ball bearing, hopefully you can see in there on the upper shaft, engages in that notch. And that's what holds this gear set here in either high range or low range. So the person that sold this to me decided, when they inspected it, and I can say this with pretty much certainty, I've had my hands on about 12 of these transfer cases, and every time they've come out of a truck, the bolts have been so tight I've had to use an impact to get them loose. And like I said earlier, about 5 minutes ago, these bolts were hand tight. So when this person pulled the cover and inspected, because he wanted the best of the best in his truck and saw this mess, he decided he's not going to mess with it. And that's okay, but damn it, tell the next guy so he's not surprised by BS. So what I have out here is a good grinding wheel and a cutoff wheel, and I'm going to attempt to get the grinder in there and grind all of these welds off so that this hub gear right here, the hub gear, will move. Otherwise, this transfer case is pretty much useless to me. I won't be able to get it apart. So, be right back. Alright, we're looking at this main shaft here. I have ground those 4 welds off. It's pretty soft metal and came off pretty well, quite easily. But you can see there's a weld, right? 1, 2, another weld. 1, 2 teeth, another weld. 1, 2 teeth, another weld. So every second tooth they put another weld on there. And what I was doing, you know, it's kind of loud, so that's why I'm not recording it. Got my 16th inch cutoff wheel in there and just carefully ground it off. And then you can see this weld right here. There was a little bulb of weld material, so I just knocked that off with this old sharpened screwdriver I have. Now the trick is to grind off all these welds here so that the hub gear can come out of the main high range gear. So hang on. Okay, so I moved the camera around and the transfer case a little bit so that you guys can get a view of this. And now I have my 1/4 inch cutoff wheel, and I can see it's going to be loud. Alright, so you guys get the idea of what I'm up against here. It's just going to take some time and patience. It won't matter if I ding up the front side of this gear because this does not move. It's this hub gear that slides forward and backward. So we'll check back when I'm done grinding some more. I went back to the cutoff wheel and sliced straight down onto the gear, and then at an angle sliced over. Right now, gonna pull that. I got that loosened a little bit. Yeah, I can't do it with my fingers. It's a little too tight. Whoops, sorry about that. This is where the spring and ball bearing is. Sorry. So, okay. There's the spring. Okay, there's a little washer on top. The ball bearing is down in there, I hope. And so now, the challenge is to get that hub gear to slide to the left. Okay, so I thought about using a slide hammer attached to the shift rod, but then I thought I don't have a replacement shift fork. So I got a big drift, my dead blow, chucked her up in there. Let's take a close look at that weld. I have broken it free. All the way around. I'm thrilled. I don't sound it, but I'm thrilled. So let me set the camera up. All right. I'm putting, as you can see in the top left-hand corner of the screen, I'm putting the bolt back in where the spring goes, where the ball bearing is, because once the gear starts to go, I don't want to lose that ball bearing. I don't have a spare one of them either. It's coming. And so's the rain. All right, I'm looking west. I got a drop on my hand, gonna have to call it.